Wait a minute. It is Thursday night. It's not Saturday morning. Holy guacamole, Batman. Hey, everybody. We are here tonight because we got another wonderful, awesome guest with us for our Creators Corner. And so we are kind of saving it a little bit. You can look in the description who it is. It's Braxton Cosby, but we're going to have a lot of fun tonight here on Two Geeks and a Microphone.
Welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast, your one-stop shop for television, movie, video games, comic books, book reviews, and more. Now, without further ado, here's Steven and Mike.
Well, who talks first? I'll talk first.
Sorry, I got distracted.
That's all right.
We'll run with that.
We'll get
I can fix that in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. Do it live. Oh my goodness. Hey everybody. I am Steven Buster, your co-host here on Two Geeks on the Microphone, along with the one, the only, the most beardiest dude I know so far, Mr. Michael Shanks. Mike, say hey to everybody.
Good evening to all you geeks out there in Geek Land. And I apologize ahead of time. It looks like something happened to our connection on both Facebook and on Rumble, which really
we'll fix it.
Me out because I had just gotten Rumble set up before we started too. Oh well, we're still on live on YouTube and Twitch though, and we'll post it on Facebook and Rumble later. So
sounds like a game plan. Well, hey, so everybody knows, we've had the blessing and opportunity to meet a lot of different creators as we've been doing this podcast, just all over the world, and it's been fantastic. But we've got an awesome special guest that we're really super pumped about tonight, and we're going to introduce the man himself, Mr. Braxton Cosby. Yay! Oh wait, do I have a sound effect for that? I do.
Impressive.
Yeah, that's the wonders of Evie Muck. So we're just having a great time. So we got Braxton here with us, everybody. We're going to get to know him. As you guys know, we're just geeks and nerds talking around the coffee table, just talking about just awesome comic book stuff, movie stuff, all those kinds of things that we just get to geek out on. But we're pretty pumped to have Braxton here with us tonight. Braxton, for those that may not know who you are, what is a good byline to say? Hi, I'm Braxton. That sounded kind of weird too. Hello.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on, Mike and Steven. I appreciate it. Anytime I get a chance to talk about some of the great things that we're doing, it's always a blessing. So getting on here and kicking it with you guys for a little bit is fantastic. For me, I'm Braxton Cosby. I'm a multi-award-winning author. I've been writing since 2011. I've written over 20 novels, 5 screenplays, 6 comic scripts, and I'm the CEO of Cosby Media Productions. We're a small press publisher down here in Atlanta, Georgia. We published over 30 authors with 60 different titles in ebooks, audiobooks, and paperback formats. We've also opened up our own comic book imprint, Star Child Comics, and we have, I think we're up to 12 issues now of our comic books. A couple of them already have second issues to them. And our main thing with all of our publishing is that we like to publish stories that we feel are fresh and brand new that other people may not have had heard before. And it's like that Hollywood adage, same but different. So we feel like, there's fantasy, there's science fiction, there's young adult, there's middle grade, there is poetry, there is inspirational biographies, and even health books out there. And we cover all those bases as well, but with a little different spin because we really look for authors and artists who do our work, who have a different kind of perspective and offer something, a change pace in the industry that we have right now. And so we're always excited about the projects that we bring out. And I'm just glad to get on here and kick it with you guys and talk about some of those special works that are dear to my heart, the things that I've worked on, and also just some of the new things that we have to offer from the authors and artists that we have in our stable.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our conversation, Braxton. It's great to have you with us. So you're more than welcome. I mean, we just love talking to creators because we love getting a different perspective. And so I want to ask real quick, because that's the phrase you used. So people who have a different viewpoint from Hollywood or something, help me understand that a little bit more when you say that different perspective. What do you mean with some of these other folks that are part of Cosby Media?
I think some of the talent that we've recruited over the years, they have just their own way of storytelling. A lot of it is very clean, for one, not a lot of person and sex, but just they really stay grounded in the character, you know?
Yeah,
Like I say, a lot of time in writing, you take these characters, it's character driven storytelling, and basically your stage or your platform is just a genre that you're writing in. So there's not a big departure from that character. You go and say that same character and put them in different genres, and they would still be who they are. They would still have their own story to tell. And the authors that we have with us, they've done that very well. Those characters are unique. I think they have a different spin on the way that they tell their stories.
hmm
Maybe first person perspective, maybe third person, close narrative. And I'm always excited to see what they have to offer. We've got some award winners. We've got some Amazon bestsellers. And so we do a
very
good job
cool.
at just what I feel giving our authors the best chance to succeed, giving them industry level book covers, formatting, editing. We give them book trailers, we give them cover reveals and all that. And after that, we just hand it to them when the book is out and say, now you run with it. So we really try to
Oh,
partner
nice.
with our authors as much as possible by
Yeah.
giving very, you know, how do I say it without sounding generous royalties, you know, so that they're inspired to continue to push their own stuff. Early on, man, we recruited people. It was
Yeah.
just like you could just tell they just wanted to just say they put a book out, and then all of a sudden you wouldn't hear from them anymore.
hmm
So we've got a little more savvy in the way that we ask our questions. We do interview our authors like it's a job. And then we
Yeah.
really kind of say, hey, what do you plan on doing to put your book out there? This is your baby. We're only the the route or the person that actually is partnering with you to get your book into the platform of the internet or wherever you're going to try to sell this book. What are you going to do about it? What are some of your ideas? And a lot of our authors do. They partner with schools, they partner with the local churches, and they just do a lot to really kind of get their books moving. So we're always excited when it's time to drop a book just to see how far it goes.
Yeah. So
Very
how long
good.
does it take from if you got ones from concept to finish, what are the timetables like to do that?
Yeah, most authors, they bring the books to us with how they feel like they are completed. So then it's just a matter of, you know, finding out, how much editing we want to do on the back end as well. Uh,
Mhm.
that process can take somewhere maybe 2 months or so. Uh, Cover creation kind of starts right as the editing process is done. I send out a questionnaire to the author, get all of their ideas about the setting, the genre, the main characters, the protagonist, the antagonist, all those types of things. What are some of the any items, special items or locations they would like to see on the cover? And then really I'm in charge of just kind of connecting with the artists that we have to really put those covers together and try to maximize as much as what I feel the industry standard is for those genres, and taking as much input from the author as possible and just try to come up with a concept that wins, at least that I feel it wins.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
far, so good. We haven't had any authors kick it back and say, no, this is terrible. They usually go, wow, this is fantastic. And they're excited. So we
really?
can get them excited and we can stay excited, and everybody can and get a chance to really move these books.
Yeah. Well, I want to come back near the end of the show just to talk more about kind of the publishing industry for those who we have listeners that are trying to work on their own project and probably some advice that you may have for them, kind of a thing. But the biggest thing though is you're introducing or we're talking about is your Star Child comics. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah.
And because we've got some great we've met all kinds of different comic book creators and stuff like that, and that's why we're excited about talking with you.
Mhm.
Why well, one, why Star Child, why the name,
Right.
and then what was the motivation behind doing the comics section of it?
Right. So, like I said, I've been writing since 2011. I got my first book published down here in Atlanta with Firefly Publishing, back, and that was Protostar. That was the first book of my young adult sci-fi romance series. It was a trilogy. I got the first book published. Went through a great process of how to get everything done, submissions, editing, the whole 9 yards, kind of from a ground up perspective with that publisher. And then a year or so later, she got out of the business. So I got the rights back and I started thinking, like, what was I going to do as far as getting my book out now? What do I do with it? So I took a lot of feedback from what people said with reviews and things like that. And I ended up winning Book of the Year award for a sci-fi romance with readers' favorites. So I was like, okay, good. I'm off to a good start. What do we do now? And I got with a literary agent and got the book picked up by another publisher. And then we just didn't agree on the direction for the second book. So I went ahead and got the rights back and said, you know what? I kind of have an idea of how we do this. I'm just going to do it on my own. So that's how Cosby Media Productions was created back in 2012. Since then, we've been publishing pretty good. We've got our own like worlds that we've created, superhero universes, science fiction universes, fantasy worlds, and such. And right around 2020, I'm at conventions with the books, moving things, and I started just thinking like, man, we got this whole superhero universe going. Wouldn't it be cool if we added to what we had? So just to tell you about our superhero universe, it's called the Cosby Media Productions Dedicated Superhero Universe, the CMPDSU. 5 authors. Now it's up to 19 novels and 6 comic books. But at the time, we were right around 16 novels with kind of touching on one another's worlds that we all created as authors. And I said, hey, guys, what do you want to do next? What do you want to go with these stories that we're telling now? We're kind of we crossed over officially with Infinity 7, which is like our Avengers Assemble, Justice League kind of thing. Me, author Kaio Champion, and Keyshawn Dodge. We brought all of our 14 superheroes into one novel, our first official crossover. And they had an idea of, hey, well, you know, why don't we do comics? And I'm like, yeah, we can do comics. I said, but I don't want to reset anything. I don't want to retell the stories we've already told. How about we expand that? So these comic books become the next chapter in the story that we're telling. And they were like, okay. So Daniel Payton, he has his Bark series, books 1, 2, and 3. Lawrence St. John, 4 books of the Metatron series. Kaio Champion has the Majesties of Canaan, 2 books in that series. And Keyshawn Dodds has 4 books of the Menzuo. And I had, at the time, 2 books of the Cape series. I said, let's add a comic going forward. So we started doing what we call hybrid publishing. We tell our stories in both novels and comics. So, for example, if you picked up my stuff, you'd get the Cape issue 1, Cape Hellfire is the comic book. And the new one is the Fabulous 5. Those 2 comic books, issues 1 and 2, they break off from the last novel that I had, which was Infinity 7, Gods Among Men. My first 2 novels were Cape, the Cape book 1, and then book 2 was Overdrive. So you had book 1, you had Overdrive, then you had Infinity 7, Gods Among Men, and then all of a sudden, boom, Cape Hellfire drops right in. So if people pick up the series, they're like going from novels back to comics, back to novels again. So it just gives them a nice change up. A lot of people are excited about it when they come to the tables at the conventions and things like that. And we talk about the world that we've built from the ground up with all our storytelling and how these stories cross over and collide. Even now with the Cape, the Fabulous 5, it was the first time we actually had another superhero from a series crossover into a comic book, which I ended up bringing Bark from Daniel Payton's book into my comic book. So that was really exciting, just to kind of really flesh things out and let the story just keep moving on its own. So you asked about Star Child Comics. Well, going back to Protostar, that story told about a Prince Bounty Hunter who's on a mission to planet Earth to kill what they call a Star Child, basically offspring of the stars themselves, who have these powers. And when they come to the full fruition of their powers, they could destroy galaxies. So they've been hunting them down for years. But when he gets here, his ship crash lands. The device that he has on his ship that's supposed to be able to kill the Star Child is damaged. And while his AI is repairing it, he decides he's going to shadow her for a while. And when he does, he's now finding himself falling in love with her. So I was like, you know what? It all started with Star Children. Let's go ahead talking about these Star Child. Let's talk about Star Child comics. So that's what we did. We went ahead and just kept coining the phrases and just linking everything together. So it's come very nicely.
Cool. Well, I read book 1 of Broken, and when I jumped into it, I found it refreshing that I didn't have to go through an origin story. We just jump right into the action and just go. And that's somewhere that I've gotten annoyed with Hollywood. I mean, how many times have we seen the origin story of Spider-Man? How many times have we seen the origin story of Batman? It's like, if I got to see Peter Parker get bit by one more spider, I'm just going to
yeah.
It's like we all know his background.
Right.
So I thought it was refreshing. Even though this is a brand new character and I knew nothing about her, it was still nice that we just jumped into the action. And I'm like, yeah, we can learn her background later. We don't need to know that right now. Right. So I really like that you did that. That's refreshing.
Yeah, thank you. And that's what we did is like I said, we're hybrid publishing. So Broken book 1 officially is the novel, 350-page novel. But when it went into the comic book, I was like, you know what? We're going to jump right in, right? Following the events that happened in book 1 of the novel. And if you remember, Mike, we kind of gave you this little narrative where she's awakening. She doesn't know where she is. She's walking around. She's hearing familiar voices. She hears her little brother, Kieran, talking to this other gentleman. And in that moment, they're having exposition where they're kind of bringing you up to speed on how things are going. Very, not on the nose, but just like you're having a dialogue. And then so if you don't know anything about this story where you're coming in like you did, you've got a quick little background and boom, Keith is there. And now we're on the mission of what they need to do next, So I try to keep challenging the authors to write in that type of way where we're not dumbing down the audience, but we're actually challenging them to be patient and say, hey, like you said, I'll go back and get that information at some other time. And so as the stories continue to evolve, even if you didn't pick up book 1, you can at least jump in and start enjoying what you like now. And then you could always go back and get some of the more of the foundational background information that you might find intriguing after you've jumped into the story with the comic.
Excellent. I like that.
Yeah. So it's such a unique perspective, though. So if I'm understanding correctly, you've got some novels, but you also have comics. The comics are not retellings of the novels. They're separate. So it's all interrelated. So for those that like to read novels, they can read novels.
Yep.
If they like to read comics, they can read the comics, but they don't have to do both.
Right. Absolutely.
In order to keep up. I love it. Love it.
Try to do it that way because, we like I say, we learn so much from going to conventions where we talk to people and people will come by the table and I'll go, hey, what do you like to read? They go, a little bit of everything. I said, well, we got a little bit of everything, and then so that's the easiest way to get people to be intrigued. And I ask myself, well, what do you mainly like to do? You like to read comics or novels? And you'd be surprised. There's a lot of novel readers still out there. I don't do the comic, but then, we kind of tell them like the stories are connected. And then they'll look through and they'll see the artwork and they'll go, okay, well, give me everything. So it's like a package. You can buy Broken book 1, the novel right there. You can get book 2, which is basically issue 1 of the comic, or you can pick up the graphic novel as well. And you've now got this nice story that takes you on a journey across 2 different mediums, And so I've encouraged our authors to continue to do that. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm writing a duology based in historical fiction that turns into a graphic novel after you get out of the historical fiction novel, and it's good because people just want something different now. They want something new. It's hard to tell somebody to buy my superhero story, and people love Superman, and people love Batman, and they have their own superhero thing. They go, well, I'm really more into blah, blah, blah. And I go, well, I get that because it's already established. That's what you read. Fantastic. But if you give a little variance, a little change of pace with the way we tell our stories, then people are intrigued. They go, oh, okay, well, that's different. Let me see what you have to offer,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that perspective. I'm finding that really intriguing on taking a different spin or different, no, I think perspective is the word you used. And I want to honor that because I mean, that's that different perspective on how you're doing the storytelling. And I find that intriguing. I don't think we've ever had anyone, Mike, who's ever done, here's a book, here's a novel, here's a graphic, novel kind of a thing.
I personally only heard of this style one other time when we had the quote unquote St. Louis Comic Con. I say that because it was just this little tiny Comic Con in Belleville down the street from my house, actually. But anyway, there was a writer there, and he had the novel and the comic book. I did buy the book and the comic book from him, and I actually got a print from him. It's really nice. But that's the only time I've ever heard of anyone doing this style. So it's very unique. It's something different, like you said, that you're giving to audiences that we're not used to seeing. So I like the idea. You're thinking, I don't like the term out of the box, but you're thinking out of the box.
Right. Yeah.
Because that term sounds so cliche. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why we say we're hybrid publishing. So it's just different. We're going to give it, I got my Bounty Hunter series, Steel Rain. Steel Rain was a character that I introduced in the third book of the Star-Crossed Saga, which is Protostar, Supernova, and then Solus. And people were really intrigued with him. So I gave him his own novel. Well, I dropped the novel first, and then, it ended up, I think it was finalist for the American Legacy Book Awards. It ended up becoming like my international bestseller. I'm like, there's something here, and I want to play with this. What happened in this one little moment of time between the events of what happened in Solstice and then Steel Rain starting his journey? So I went back. I teamed up with a very talented artist named Daniel Max, and my colorist, who I always, as my go-to colorist and letterer, Julio Caballeros, worked with them on the prequel. So if Steel Rain's novel was Flight of the Starship Concorde, then the prequel comic was a 27-page comic called Pre-Flight. And so it kind of bridges that gap between the events of what happened in Solstice to where he is. And it is just, people just love it. And I'm already working. I'm so excited. Finally, guys, we are actually getting the second issue of Steel Rain. You'll be able to get Steel Rain comic, then the novel, and now the second issue of the comic book I'm working on right now with a new artist. And oh my God, I'm just loving it. It has come along so well. So that'll be out next year. So I always try to bring something new to the conventions because there's a lot of people just come back and go, oh man, what do you have this year? And I want to always have something for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never thought about it from that perspective as far as like always having something new at the conventions and stuff. I don't do conventions, so I don't know if they have that perspective. So now last convention I went to was with Mike back in,
oh goodness,
10 years ago.
Yeah, the real St. Louis Comic Con.
Yeah, that was a good one and stuff. That was fun. It was fun. I'm saying that I'm adverse to them and stuff, but that's just interesting being on the other side of the table, if that makes sense. Like, we want to always have something for everybody. So I'm assuming here that you do a lot of the storytelling, the story writing, and then you work with other artists and colorists and as letterers and stuff. What have been for you some of your I don't want to, it's like pick my favorite child, I don't want to say that, but what have been some of your favorite projects that you've worked on that you felt like you've either got a good response from or you've gotten good feedback on, or something in the process that you were just like, man, this just came overnight, or just something to that effect?
One thing I did that I was really, 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 really proud of was, we've got all these superhero stories, right? You got 19 novels now, 6 comic books, and people come to the table. I'll have my stuff. I'll have a little bit of some of the other authors, and then they grab it and they're like, how do I get everything else? So they've now got to go to the website and try to hunt this stuff down. So, I talked to the guys. I said, hey, let's try to do a compendium of all of our superhero stuff. But we're going to take each novel, we're going to serialize it. On one page, we're going to give you the exact summary of what happens in the novel. And on the other page, we're going to actually put it in a comic book form. One page
cool.
with about 6 to 7 panels of all the big events that happen in the novel. So
Wow.
if you read that summary and look at that comic, you've read that book.
Oh, wow.
Then you can go to the next one. Then you can go to the next one. So over and over again, this happened. And then we actually give you the comic book from that series in the compendium itself. So that's what I have right here this is the Star Child Comics Compendium, and this is volume 1,
Oh,
first
wow.
page. And so you have like the main antagonist of everything, Stratus, and like we have all of the characters, like the main characters from everybody's books right here. We've got Bark in the front. I think I'm seeing it right. I think that's Blessed from Majesties of Canaan. That's Paladin, one of my guys. That's Metatron, and that's Menzuo there. So once somebody technically cracks this open, and we give you like a little summary page of Star Child Comics and what the compendium represents, and then you'll get right into chapter 1, which is like Menzuo. So you'll grab Menzuo's story, and his first novel is here. And so, we've got the first book, and then we've got all the stuff that happens in the first book. So once you read this, you've read the first novel in that series. Then you got the second one. Then you got the third and fourth. And then we go ahead and we give you the entire comic book, War at Home, right here.
Okay.
What?
So when you say the thing I'm most proud of is that I basically got information from everybody on their book. Say, hey, tell me what this book is about. So all the authors sent me like a little quick narrative. And then I basically went back and I wrote the entire summary, and I wrote the comic script using those big moments to give to the artists. And I worked with those artists and the colorists. We actually used Ram Silva to do all of the serialization of the novels, and he's worked on the Braxton series. Mike, you said earlier you liked the artwork, and there,
Yes, that was very good.
Ram and Julio did the artwork for me in Broken. So I had to literally write everybody's comic script for those books, and so that was just a huge undertaking. But I was so proud of how well it did, and how I really feel like we paid homage to all the hard work of the authors over all these years putting these stories together, so that I felt like when readers got those stories, they really were the best representation that I could give them of what that novel had in it, so that they didn't feel like they lost anything and they caught right and jumped into
I've
that.
never.
Now, when you read this, you're caught up. You get to now jump into the next things that we have going on, which is basically like it picks up right before next Infinity 7, which is War of Gods, and issue 2 of the Cape, the Fabulous Five.
Nice. Well, just for the record, though, I'm on the website. It says on the compendium there's only 10 available left. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to do false scarcity here, everybody, but I'm like, not trying to do that. I'm saying, no, there's only 10 left and stuff. So sorry, I was like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, 175 pages. This is 175 pages. Goodness. I mean, you're getting 5 comics in here and 18 novels, all serialized into comic book. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Can't beat that. No.
So if somebody's starting out with in your universe of comic books, is that where you would recommend they start then?
I do it a lot because when they come to the conventions, they'll see me. They want the Cape to get books 1 and 2, Infinity 7 books 1 and 2, and then they can jump into Cape, Hellfire, and Fabulous 5. I say, but look, if you're really buying into this universe we built since 2014, you can get the compendium and be caught up with everybody. And now it's almost like it's all of what DC had. Imagine if DC put everything into one compendium. Imagine if Marvel put everything. We put everything into one compendium now, and I've had people do it. They'll pick up the compendium, and then they'll say, what's the next 2 things? I say it's Infinity, War of Gods, and then also Cape issue 2, and they grab everything. And they have completely grabbed everything that we have from our superhero universe, and they're excited, And of course, we're excited because that was a lot that we can give somebody that they can really hone in on what we've built over these years.
Yeah. Do you ever do digital copies of your stuff, or is it just all print?
They're all digital. They're Amazon Kindle and Barnes & Noble Nook. They're out there.
Okay.
So if you
Mike-
want to do print or E, you can do
Right.
either one.
So Mike is the print guy. That
Mhm.
guy there. Sorry. Mike is the print guy. I'm the digital guy, kind of
Okay.
a thing. And so that's why we laugh and we talk about, but sometimes there are some things that are just worth getting in print.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Mike makes a great argument for that.
Well,
I'm just giving him credit.
I'm with Mike on that because now I do sample. I do try before I buy. So I might get the digital, and then I'll read it and go, man, that was really, really good. And then I'll go buy the print. I really will.
Right.
Just put it somewhere. I mean, if I really love a story, that's what I'm going to do. And I think I did that with the new reprints of the Thundercats. They brought them back out, and I was at a convention, and I'd already bought the digital of the Thundercats issue 1. And then the guy who did the cover art for for that comic was there. I had to buy the comic. I just bought it from him, had him sign it and everything. So yeah.
Besides that, you're walking away with something in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I definitely get the convenience. I mean, you got all the stories in your phone. You get.
That's what I say.
I'm a Kindle reader. I have a zillion Kindle books in there.
That's
and
me.
I love audiobooks. So that's why we started.
That's me too. Real quick, I want to give a shout out. Sage Page Omega is on. Sage, we haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, man. Greetings and salutations, gentlemen. Good to have you with us, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. The art looks great, by the way.
Thank you.
So it looks fabulous. Fabulous.
I'm a real stickler. I don't, we kind of stray away from saying we're indie publisher because a lot of stuff, like I've run into a lot of people and it just, the effort is not there, And so that's why we're more a small press, because we really, really, really stress and emphasize quality. We don't want to look like somebody just put this together in their backyard and brought it to a convention or tries to sell it online. We want people to, when they buy it, we use a printing company that has quality paper. We pay for the extra weight of it and the feel so that it doesn't feel flimsy and that the colors are bright and they pop, So we want people to get basically what their money's worth, at least what they feel it should. And so I'm always excited about the artists that we work with. We've got like a team of 5 different artist camps that we use with Star Child Comics. And like I said, I just got these 2 wonderful, wonderful ladies who are working on projects for mine right now that have worked on. And one of them, Eliza Olamide, is from Nigeria. She did a story that you guys would probably love. It's called ANVK. And it's one of our favorite comic books because ANVK stands for African Ninja Vampire Killers.
Nice. I love it.
That's awesome.
If you come to the conventions and you go, I really want something different, people walk by the table and I'll go, hey, have you ever heard of ANVK? They're like, no. I said, African Ninja Vampire Killers? They all laugh, just like you guys did. And I go, well, you have now here. And I give them the comic, and it's a purchase 99% of the time.
That's awesome.
A great little story, man. Takes place in Pretoria, South Africa, where these young boys, it's a group of boys who are like still in high school, and they are they're actually trained in like technology and 8th degree black belts, so they're really, really skilled. And then all of a sudden, people are starting to come up missing in their village, in their city. And so one big tragedy happens to one of the boys, and now they decided they're going to go ahead and go after him because they realized that those are vampires who are starting to terrorize the city. And they got ninja outfits that they put together with this new technology. It's not nanotechnology. It's another thing that the author who wrote this came up with. His name is Kyle Champion.
Okay.
And he's got his own tech stuff going on with that. He's got this AI named Toby who's working with them on what they're doing. And they decide they're going to take it to the vampires. And you find out there's this bigger story behind it with this huge conglomerate of vampires. And they're trying to keep things on the hush. And this one vampire messed up by killing somebody close to the boys. So it is just an amazing story. Every time I tell people about it, I go like, man, this is giving me like TMNT vibe.
Oh,
This great acronym that means something. And when you get what it is, it's like, whoa, it blows you away. So Kyle and I right now are working on issues 2 and 3 simultaneously, writing a story for that. So I'm really excited because it's bringing in one of my characters from one of my new stories that I'm writing too. So it's just bananas. People who have AMVK, they have no idea what they're in for with these next 2 stories. They're going to be great.
Okay, since they're vampires, please tell me one of the ninjas is a daywalker.
Oh, no. They're all regular boys, but they're killing ninjas. So they're the African ninja vampire killer.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
So they're all normal kids. Yeah, but they're going after the vampires. So yeah, definitely. And there's, like I said, there's just this nice evil empire kind of vibe to the book.
Nice evil vampire.
Yeah. The vampires are not just your average, just killing people, whatever. They're they almost kind of remind you of the ones out of Blade, They're very refined. They've got this whole system thing built on with money and all. So it's a really, really great story. Huge, refreshing. And the fact that the IP just really is just a comic book IP is exciting as well because there's no novel attached to it. Although, and I still have to keep this under wraps and I'm not finished yet, the character who I'm introducing into AMVK issues 2 and 3 is from the graphic novel from the duology that I'm writing with and this is feudal Japan. Everybody loves feudal Japan time pieces. And then it's a graphic novel that gets more fantasy after the historical fiction is done. The graphic novel goes really fantasy in, and that character is introduced into AMVK. So if people buy AMVK 1, 2, and 3, they're going to meet Yanara, this character I have. She's going to be in the other story, and they're probably going to buy all of that stuff because it's all connected,
Gotcha.
Wow.
I can't even figure out how your brain works.
Yeah, right? Right? How do you keep it all straight?
Right.
It is crazy. It is crazy. But when the idea hits me, man, I'm like, ooh, this is good. And then I get really excited and I start, like I said, a friend of mine asked me yesterday, he's like, so what are you working on now? I was like, believe it or not, 3 projects, technically 5 at the same time. And they're like, that is insane. And I know it is, but my brain is like, I just keep rolling. I'm just doing something else. I'm doing something else. I'm almost done with the novel. Thank God. I've got like 4 chapters left and I'll be done with that one. But the graphic novel is coming now. Eliza, who worked on AMVK, I loved her art style. Loved it. If you guys pull up the website, when you click through some of the pages of AMVK, you'll see it. She's doing this one for me. And I'm just thrilled that I get all of her artwork in a 50-page graphic novel. So I'm like just to the moon about that. Because she has a really, really great artistic style to her. And she's already done I have a spin-off comic that connects that character, Yanira, to this world. And she's already done that one. That one's complete. That'll be coming out in October. And so a lot of great stuff coming out the pipeline. I think people are going to be excited about.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I want to back up on is, you say you were talking about other indie publishers, or not using the term indie publisher. And we had a guest on who he specifically novels. I mean, it's what he does and really nice guy. And we said, what advice would you give to creators and stuff? And he said this, it was really interesting that I think applied to what you're talking about, indies, is he goes, you got to decide, is it just a hobby or is it your job? Absolutely. Kind of a thing. And that was something really interesting. So I think when you're saying that some people who are just doing it, hey, I just want to create something, but then there are those like, no, this is my purpose or my goal, or this is what I want to do, just the amount of time and effort they put into it. So if you got 5 projects going on, I'd say you are knee deep in it, my friend.
I am. And it doesn't feel like work. I tell my kids,
okay,
if you guys can work a regular job that you like, I'm a physical therapist by day. So that's what I do.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you can just have this passion, this thing that just, I just have a passion for storytelling, and whether it's the stuff that I'm writing, I've also done my own audio. I've voiced my own audiobooks for my stories as well.
Good.
Or I like to just look at good stories, new stories that give me something rather than the old run of the mill. And unfortunately, the problem, I guess the catch-22 of being a writer is that when you really, really work intensives on writing, and you've been a part of panels. I've done panels on transcribing novels into comics and characterization and I did this one called like 13 villain archetypes, those types of things. When you're so much into the teaching of writing, it's hard to really like stuff that comes out because I see a lot of the holes in the storylines, and I really, really push 3-act structure. My comic book, when you read them, you're going to get 3-act structure. You're going to be able to see the inciting incident. You're going to see Act 2 move right into that. You're going to see the ups and the downs, the midpoints of the stories, the last moments before you move into Act 3, where the character has to figure out a new plan and readjust and try to do something different, being prepared. The story of the hero's journey from starting out not being much of anything, not being able to handle the challenge, the antagonist up front, and training to be prepared so that when they finally get to the antagonist or whatever that thing is that is resisting them from achieving their goal, when they finally do beat them, it's believable. It's not just something that's like, oh man, that didn't make sense. So I really, really push that. I stress that. And when I see stories that don't follow that are greenlit in Hollywood, I'm like, this is just a buddy system because everybody knows these rules. Everybody who's in Hollywood knows what the rules are supposed to be. They know what those stories are supposed to look like, and they still greenlight them anyway when they don't have it. So that's just a soapbox that I stand on every now and then. But for the most,
all right, we can dig deep on that soapbox.
So, for the most part, I really just push that. I do that, and I want quality stuff out there so that when people go, because 3-act structure has been tried and proven that if you write it right, people come out of the experience going, man, they feel like full. Like, wow, that was really good. They kind of had a little bit of everything, and they don't even know what they were looking for. But if you did it right, it should be very natural. It should flow, and it should just be, people should be anticipating the next part of that story.
So what you're saying is, if you build it, they will come.
Amen. That's what I've been doing. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness!
Little Field of Dreams reference there. I'm looking at your cover for the Cape Overdrive, and the characters on it. They kind of remind me of old school DC, just like the Justice Society type.
Right. Yeah.
I was just curious if your influences fall in that realm, the old school DC realm.
Absolutely. I would say I grew up on DC more than Marvel, so I've always been a DC fan. I love their art style. I was introduced to comic books when things were like the Sunday Funnies was a show back in the day. They actually read some of the comics on there, and then Electric Company came out with like Spider-Man on it.
Yeah.
I'm like way in that era of
Spider-Man.
I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah. So that was my thing. So and when I was in the 5th grade, I remember a friend of mine, I'm on a scale of 1 to 10 as an artist, and I'm only comparing myself to the artists we work with. I'm a 5 compared to them, which is the 5 is better than the normal populace, but it ain't anywhere near who I'm working with. So I can sketch out all those characters like you see on there, Mike. I sketched out everything you see is my uniforms from head to toe.
Oh, cool.
But they don't look like that. I take that and I turn that over to the artist and say, okay, here's what I'm doing. I worked on Cape Hellfire. I'll show you. On Cape Hellfire, I was blessed at the time that we did a Kickstarter to launch all of our comics. And I was able to get Bruno Abdias. He actually did this one for me. He did the entire comic, The Cape.
Here, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here.
Yeah. Bruno is a tour de force of comic book artistry. And he has a really nice DC feel to him. And he's actually doing he works on the Cyborg series for DC now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So whenever I show people this and I show them the pages on the Cape Hellfire, they're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
That's why I say
that looks great.
That's why I say, and he does colors, letters, the whole 9 yards. This is all Bruno,
Wow.
And so, and the great thing about Bruno is that writing comics is, I used a couple of books that I found online that were really, really great, but I really do settle in and return to the art of comic book writing. And it basically puts you in the seat as a comic script writer. You are the director of photography, you're the cameraman, you're everything. And you're also the writer. So you got to imagine that page, how many panels, how those panels are designed and all of that. And I was so boxy because I was afraid when I first wrote the cape. I was like, oh man, okay, I need this, I need that, I need that. And Bruno took those boxes and destroyed them. You know? And the way he kind of came with the characters bleeding out of the boxes, and sometimes it was a panel, but it wasn't, it was a panel without borders, you know? And so he kind of taught me how to free up those pages and write those things. So he makes me look a lot better than I was as a writer in that comic. But going forward, my comics now had that type of a vibe. So I really learned from Bruno as far as how this thing can look, and really like those limitations that you put on yourself. You could just take those away if you're really, really challenging yourself. And that's why that relationship between the writer and the artist becomes so important, so that nobody's taking anything personally. Hey, you changed my panel. No, it looks great. Keep it, you know, or, hey, you know, and I tell people a lot of time, like, they'll like write a page with like 4 panels and another page, 4 panels. I say, you're letting the artist off the hook. You do know that you're paying per page. You're not paying per panel. So if you're just giving them 4 panels every time.
Yeah.
There's so much story that could be told in 6 to 7 panels. You're missing some of your story, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned a lot of that from Bruno. And so shout out to Bruno Obvious. Great, great, great artist. If anybody looks him up, he's amazing. Great stuff.
So did you find it difficult switching over from novel format into comic books?
Yes, I did. And reason why is that, you know, I've got novels that are 105,000 words. 90,000 words, 96, and 3-act structure, when you could just kind of chill, be like, yeah, I'll get to act 2 later on. I'm still writing. You can play around with all of that, but now you take that and you're trying to do 3-act structure with a 24-page comic book.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. So now when you do the percentages, you're like, okay, by page 5, I need to have this debate happen where to decide if the hero is going to go on this journey or not, and then they need to be on it by page 6. Now I've got page 6 through maybe 21 is act 2, and then 22, 23, 24, and I'm out. And so you got to really sit here, and I've been pulling my hair out on a lot of these scripts. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, right here we need to have this, and then I'm of the notion that when people pick up a comic book at your table, the comic opens to a nice middle part of the comic automatically, right? So that's where it falls. So that's your first opportunity to really show somebody that you got a nice looking comic book right in the middle. But it's also the midpoint of your story. So something critical is normally happening around midpoint. It's a false win or loss. And so now I've got to work beginning and middle. And I need to know that if that comic book is 24 pages, page 12 and 13 or 13 and 14, based on how it's formatted, need to be amazing. But they also have to meet the standard of what the midpoint of the story is. So it will run you crazy, but it's one of the best challenges I've ever faced, because as a writer, you want that challenge. You want to know you can get that in there. Sometimes you got to shorten that dialogue to be really quick on those beats to make sure everything is very intentional. And then you end up getting a comic book where it falls right here, right in the middle of midpoint of Fabulous 5 Part 2. And it's great comic books, you know, comic book ink, you know, and art. And this was done by Marcelo Salazar. Shout out to him as well. So, yeah, it's one of my favorite things, because if you're trying to, you know, every author, I think, wants to get their book into the big screen, or, you know, movie theaters, Netflix, whoever, streaming, you want to get it there. Comic books are that conduit, because they're giving you the visualization. When you pitch to people now, they want these, you call them lookbooks, you know. You talk about the story a little bit, and then you give them images. Lookbook, you know, you need to see what it looks like. So that's how people want to, they don't want to read your script now. They want to go through the lookbook first, and they go, okay. And then they'll go read your script. Now you got a comic book to tell the whole story, really, of what you're pitching. And then you can still give them the script, and they can go, oh, this is where we're starting at? Okay, this is interesting, you know. So it's a great opportunity to really tell stories in a fascinating medium it's visual and it's words as well. And like I said, if you do it the right way, it's really magic when people pick it up.
See, that's one thing I don't understand about Hollywood today. You know, we get all these comic book movies, these big tentpole comic book movies, and they throw it out there. They go, oh, well, we're going to base this on Death of Superman,
Right.
you know? And it's like, oh, okay, I'm a huge fan of Death of Superman. I love that book, you know? And then I watch it and I'm like, wait a minute, you took Death of Superman and you shoved it into Dark Knight Returns and then you made this weird conglomeration of both of them. You know, you could have just followed the story.
Yeah.
You've got the entire
What's wrong with it?
storyboard right there.
Absolutely.
I just I don't get Hollywood.
Well, to your point, Mike, what the issue is that the people who are writing the scripts are not really fans of the work.
Right.
They have not really read it. They're lying. You know, they slap somebody's name on it, but that writer's room is not a bunch of people who, like Michael Bay, knew nothing about Transformers.
Right.
And he admitted that.
Exactly.
I mean, how do you do a Transformer movie and not know about Transformers?
Well, all the current Star Wars directors,
right?
None of them really know anything about Star Wars either.
Exactly.
You know?
And so you do get all of that stuff. The best stories to me are always, and I may be biased, but if you see a movie, you can tell a movie where the director is also the writer. I don't even have to really look at the credits. Like I know I can see it because nothing's lost. It's their vision. They wrote it. They're shooting it now how they want it to look. And there's a different level of storytelling when the director is also the writer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Yeah, Braxton, you need to make it to Hollywood. Of course, then you'll get ruined by the corporate.
No, I won't. You know, the good thing is that this journey has taken so long because I have been pegged to work on a couple of projects that I'm just leaving under wraps right now. But the goal is once I work on those, then of course get mine going. But yeah, that's the thing is it's taking me so long that at this point, I'm not even in it for the money. I just love telling good stories. You know, I love to sit around and have roundtables about it. I teach, I don't teach, I do author visits at the schools here in Gwinnett County. And my big thing is like, you know, they put the books in the media center after I talk with the kids and the students, and then we go back and we talk about the books, and they just their eyes light up when they talk about my stories and what they saw and what they got out of it and everything. So my thing is just sharing stories. People, there was a lady who was at a last convention. We were just at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I didn't know her. And she came to the table and she was like, I bought book 1 of the Starcross saga and I need to get the other 2. I was like, oh, thank you. I mean, and this book's been out for a while. This trilogy's been done. I just happened to take it with me. But she saw it and she goes, but I have to go sit down and my blood sugar's low. I was like, oh, okay. I'm a therapist, so I understand that. So she goes, this is day 1. I don't see this lady again. I said, you know, chalk it up to whatever. She comes back the next day. She's like, okay, I'm back. My blood sugar's fine. She said, but she said, yeah, so tell me what you have. So I showed her Still Rain. I was like, oh, did you read this series? She's like, yes, Starcross was great. And what else do you have? I said, well, this is Still Rain's story, his comic and novel. So she picks those up and she said, but look, I bought Supernova and Solstice digitally. So I'm actually going to pick up, to your point, Mike, I'm going to pick up the paperback versions of Solstice and Supernova today so you can sign those. So she literally bought books 2 and 3, Still Rain, and then Still Rain comic as well. And I ended up signing everything that she took. So, you know, I know that those are the great moments when people come back and they just really like what you wrote. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
See, Stephen, that's another argument for physical over digital. You can't have the writer or artist sign your iPad.
Absolutely right.
Point taken. Point received.
Yeah. Well, we do offer, like for people who do that, sometimes they'll tell me they bought it. I'll give them a bookmark and I'll just sign the bookmark. At least they could take something with them, you know?
That's cool.
Not the same as the book, though, Mike.
Yeah. Right. Oh, man, 2 against 1.
Yeah.
Didn't you see at the head of this episode? It was Pick on Steven night.
Okay.
Oh
my goodness.
Awesome.
So, Braxton, let me ask you this, just for those who may be watching, and we have, as I mentioned before, we've got people who they've, as we've been talking with different authors and creators, they've been inspired to do their own works
Right.
and stuff. So for people who are thinking about, just getting involved or starting, or, how do I get started, or what should I do? What advice would you give them?
Yeah. Two rules that you got to follow as a writer. One is that you need to have an outline. You cannot write without an outline, and your outline needs to be complete from beginning to end.
Is that being a plotter versus a pantser? Is that what that's called?
Right. And you will run yourself crazy. Most people who I've talked to, they go, "Oh, I'm writing on this book now." I say, "Oh, where's your outline?" No, they go, "Oh, I'm writing on this book now, but I just stopped the other day because I was like getting lost." And they start telling me about all the stuff that I know is the issue with writing. And I go, "Well, how's your outline?" "Oh, you know what? I didn't do one." That's why you're stuck. You have absolutely no idea where to go next,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great stuff on the internet that talks about how to do outlines.
We've heard Save Cat, Snowflake.
I've read that book. Yeah.
Yeah. There's been several that we've heard from different people saying different things.
Yeah. And there's even one called the Pixar formula. That just really helps you kind of move really through Act 2 to me with Pixar, because it's like the character, like it's always, this is the challenge. The character wants to go from here to here, and so they have an idea, they have a plan. So they go with the first plan, and it's still not over here, but they try it, they fail, they have a shortfall, they rally with a new idea, they try again. Shortfall, rally again, and then there's some pieces along the way that are missing. So they start to get those people attached who are helping them get to the next level, to get closer and closer to that goal. And so, if you Pixar kind of does this, if doesn't work, but then what happens? Well, then you do this. Well, that didn't work. Then you do this. So it really kind of helps you to keep asking yourself that question. And if that doesn't work, then what happens? And because that happens, then what happens next? Okay, and that didn't work, then what happens? And because that didn't happen, what happens next? So it keeps you in line. I tell people 3-act structure helps me behave. Keeps me in line, and I don't go rambling. I don't have time to ramble. So I would say, make sure you get some good books. Robert Mackey's Story is brilliant. I've read that one through as well.
I've got the audio book, but it's the abridged version.
The audio book is great, because they have that one guy who wrote, and he had this one line at the end of one of the chapters. I remember listening. He said, "The minute you think you've written the most perfect line ever, stop, ball it up, and throw it away." That goes against what I wanted to do. You need to start again. Like, he just does not believe that you've broken through when you've broken through. You just need to keep going at it, And the biggest lesson I've learned about writing is that the rewrite is not separate. It is actually writing. They shouldn't call it rewrite. It should just be called refining, because you do need to do a rewrite. You cannot just be like, "Oh, that was great. I'm done. I'm just going to hand this in." No, the rewrite is integral to your story being better. Yeah. So get an outline format.
Okay, so that's one. Make sure you get an outline. Learn to do an outline. Learn how to write as part of that outline.
Absolutely. And find your 3-act structure that works for you. Save the Cat. Some of those other ones, they all have different ones. I've taken pieces from a lot of them and made my own.
I was going to ask if you had done that. If you had talked about Pixar, but then you talked about Robert McKee, McGee stuff, I was curious if you had developed your own.
Yeah, I did. I did. So where like in Save the Cat, he has a thing where he says, like, Dark Night of the Soul. I call it the come to Jesus moment, and that's in every big story. People just have to really kind of, are you going to do this or not? Kind of thing. And it's usually when you're at your lowest, and then they kind of, it's not the Hail Mary just yet, but it's this last moment, because Act 1 moves into, every time you transition from an act, it's really the decision of the protagonist to move us forward. So there's the debate in Act 1, and then if they say, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it," we move into Act 2. When you're getting out of Act 2, it's the debate of if this is going to work. Well, hell, I'm just going to go with it, and then we're into Act 3. So those moments have to be there, and if they are there, then the story kind of works for itself. I would say the other thing that I tell people too is that you have to write a story that you fall in love with first.
That's
If you
good.
don't love a story, nobody's going to.
Yep.
You know,
You're
so
right.
I tell people all the time, they go, "Oh, what's your favorite one?" I said, "Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me." Because I love all my
Yeah.
babies equally. But I do think that for me, my next story has to be my favorite as I'm writing it.
Okay.
And so that's where I am right now with my latest and greatest. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be my gift to the world. And that's why I'm attaching so many things to it because I really want people to love it, you know?
That actually makes sense, though. One of my favorite music artists, favorite music bands is Stryper. They're a Christian heavy metal band from the 80s who are still currently recording.
Gosh,
and
we're old.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
we are. But Michael Sweet, the lead singer and the main writer of the band, every time he's getting ready to put out a new album, he'll say, "Oh, this is my favorite album."
Absolutely.
This is my favorite album. And he gets a lot of crap for that because they're like, "Oh, come on, that can't be better than Tell of the Bell from 1987."
Right.
Blah blah blah. And he's like, "No, you don't understand. This is my current work. This is what I'm excited about. This is my favorite album."
Yeah.
And there are times I'll read that and I'm like, yeah, I'll judge for that when it comes out. And then I'll start listening to it and I'm like, oh yeah, I find myself listening to that more than anything else they've put out. So I totally get that. It makes a lot of sense. Your latest work is your favorite.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. That's the freedom of being in the independent space is that you're not enforced. I remember this one author I met years and years ago, and she had written a book and she had got like Georgia Author of the Year, and she got the book picked up by one of the big five. And the next book they said, hey, can you write some of the like the smutty kind of sci-fi romance stuff? And she's like, no, I don't write that. They're like, okay, goodbye. You know, they have their angle they want to go next. They think they're the writer who's talented enough to write it, but that's the stuff that's freeing about independence. I'm gonna write this story. I'm gonna tell this story the way I want to, and I don't have anybody. There's no strings on me. There's nobody pushing me and pushing me to do it a certain way. And if people if people don't like it, okay, cool. I loved it, and that's really all that matters, you know. So I can take on a new project and really get excited about it, and just move into that space and just write it and put it out and see what happens.
But good for her for sticking to her principles.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
and not giving
that's
in
who
to
I am. This is what I write.
And she didn't, and like she said, I just didn't know how to even start writing that, Braxton, you know? And I have never written historical fiction. And I was quite intimidated with it at first when I took but the vision of the story was so big. I was like, okay, I know for one, I've got to do my research. I've got to know all the history that goes into this world, feudal Japan. I've got to know the agriculture, the spiritual tones, the political advances. I've got to understand how these armies work. I've got to know what the weather cycles are like. Like I need to know all of that stuff to dig in and get all that so it's authentic. Not to say that I would run into somebody who's old enough to be from this period of Japan, but I'm sure I don't want to disrespect their culture either, you know? So I want to make sure that it makes sense and that they'll see some of these things that pay homage to the culture of Japan, the trees in that area at the time, and all of those ways. How do they bury their dead? How do they celebrate their victories? Like all those things have to be in place. And now I could just put my fictional glue in it to move the story the way I want to, but I'm still going to keep rewarding the readers who love historical fiction with all that history stuff because I enjoy it as well, you know?
Nice. Very nice.
Do you find that doing different genres, does it help you or does it hinder or hurt you, kind of a thing? I've heard some authors say you should stick to this genre and that's all that you write, kind of a thing. But it sounds like you're making it successful doing different genres of what's exciting to you.
Right. I've done a health book for my physical therapy background. I felt like that was my gift of learning and experience with physical therapy. I wanted to give people something that I thought they could take home with them. I'm a certified personal trainer as well. all about health and wellness. Here, this is like, I'm giving you a cheat code for all the stuff that goes into that. I've done the biography for Gail Devers, ex-Olympian, 100-meter hurdler and sprinter. I've done Mike Clemens. He was a secular music guy who transitioned into Christian music and won a Dove Award. So I've worked with people on those levels. I've also done my own stuff with the fiction stuff, whether it's dystopian fiction, superhero fiction, science fiction, which I'm a huge fan of. So yes, I get that everybody says peg yourself as the blah, blah, blah writer. But then I look at somebody like a Shonda Rhimes who does everything, and she's just amazing at everything she writes.
Yeah.
So I look at even something like one of my favorite writers is Quentin Tarantino. From a screenplay perspective, he writes out, he colors outside the lines.
Right.
I don't know what act we're on in his movie. He's probably on like 6 act structure, but at the end of the day, he's going to tell his story how he wants to. Now, granted, he's probably a 50-50 person for me. Out of everything he liked, I probably really like half of it. Some of the stuff like From Dusk to Dawn went a little crazy. I wasn't a huge fan of those, but I still respect that he's like, look, you know what? Here's an idea. I'm going to write this, and he took like something like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that was based on facts, and he just went a whole nother direction with it. So I respect people who are willing to take those chances, especially those who have made it, and say, here's the story I'm going to tell. I'm going to tell it how I want to. Who cares what you say? So for me, I just want to tell my next great story. And you know what? Right now I'm on historical fiction binge, but next year I'll probably back to the Cape again. Who knows?
Do you have like a writing routine that you do to keep you on task, or keep you like, I've got to write so much, or I take this amount of time each day, or especially if you've got another whole job? Because that's what a lot of friends and stuff that we have, and other creators and other podcasters we've talked to, they've already got a day job, and now they're trying to balance that in order to do something that they're passionate about.
Right. As long as I got that outline, I'm good, because my outline is going to be like a couple of notes. In this chapter, we need to cover this. And then if I step away from it for a week, I could just go back through my notes again from the previous couple of chapters saying, where are we again? Oh, yeah. Sometimes like a project like this one I'm doing, I just haven't been able to pull myself away from it, to be quite honest. So like I'm on it like every day. If not every other day. I'll probably, when I get off with you guys, I'll probably do the next chapter. Not just thinking about it. But yeah, so my routine is outline in front of me, book ready. I got 2 monitors here. And sometimes if I'm really like stuck and I just want to kind of get the gears moving a little bit, I'll put on an audiobook in the background, one of my favorite audiobooks. Basically in the same genre that I'm writing. I definitely will put on, I know next year I'm officially getting back into my novel stuff after this with the Star-Crossed Saga, which is like, if you've got Star Wars, you've got The Mandalorian, you've got all these other guys under that. And so that's basically what I have, is this whole Proxima Centauri galaxy story, where Star-Crossed Saga was one little thing, Still Rain story is another, and then I'm starting my next series under that umbrella. So I'll probably put on audio book from The Expanse just to kind of get in the mood of that third person narrative type stuff. When I was writing Broken, I was listening to a lot of Suzanne Collins. So I just put on people who I like. I like to hear how they're going through their process, or I'll even go look at something that's very similar just to get the juices flowing. And I just kind of go in and knock it out. I write till I'm tired. Or will I really feel like it's a good stopping point? I can kind of end that chapter there, and I'll just jump back into it next time.
Who's a favorite author, novelist of yours?
I love Octavia Butler for sure. I think Suzanne Collins with The Hunger Games was just a powerhouse. I used to tell people all the time, I'm like, I don't even see why 4th graders are reading this because it's just too. I feel like she used a cannon to kill a fly. Like, she writes so great and all the skill set. And I'm like, these 4th graders aren't. It's like it's a waste. Like, they're not even understanding how great those chapters were. Just the way that she describes it. I do love. I think is it I always forget their initials. It's like J.A. Corey, the guys behind The Expanse.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
they do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on a series from Fred Saberhagen called the Berserker series. That was
Okay.
old school sci-fi, but he really wrote great. I was finally able to go back and even track down some of his audiobooks. So those were great as well. And so I'm into, and I was a huge Veronica Roth fan for a while with that version. I ate those books a lot because I was writing young adult at the time, you know. So yeah, so I'm usually just whatever genre I'm into, I'm reading it.
Is there anything in your stories that like this is a non-negotiable for me that I have to have this in every single one of our stories? For example, we talked to one author and he said every single one of mine will have some type of a love story in it, kind of a thing to have that connection.
So I'll go a little bit on that tip. I'll say every story has to have a B story, and the B story is most likely a love story. But even with the story I'm writing right now, right, I was like tempted to put this female who comes along and pulls the guy's heartstrings, and I was like, I think the B story here I wanted to settle in was this relationship because this main character wanted to get back to his family. That's his real A story, is getting back to his family. But along the way, he picks up people who are close to him who become like family. So that's the B story. It's the non-intimate love affair between friends, or the mentor and the mentee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He becomes like a father figure to a younger guy who looks up to him. So that's the B story that I played with throughout that story, because they say in good writing, when the A story and the B story collide, you're really at the end of the story and it needs to wrap up. That was Robert Mackey too. He was like, when those two things collide, the story is over. What are you doing? So and I'm always hearing this voice like, okay, I'm done, Robert. So, and I remember I was looking at like the latest Batman and the more Robert Pattinson, and I'm looking at it, and I know we're in Act 3, but the story is not ending, and I'm really getting frustrated in the movie theater. And I'm like, what are we looking at now? And so, to me, I just tell people, look, it would have been like a 9 out of 10 movie if they had just flipped what they did in Act 3, where he gets to the Riddler, he basically captures him, and then all of a sudden we got to go to this scene where he's got to go and play with these other people with this big flooding of Gotham City, which was, if they had just put that before and anyone and got the Riddler at the end, we'd have been good, you know? The movie would have been fantastic, you know? And so, so so my B story is not, I don't always have to have a B story. I have to have something like Kisa in Broken doesn't necessarily have a love story, although there is obviously you saw Mike, there is a person who she's close to.
Right.
And there is some romantic relationship between them there, but her love story, her B story, is really her brother Kieran. That's really where she has rested in becoming this surrogate parent to her younger brother. She's 16, he's 11. And after all this all-out nuclear war, being separated from their parents, she has now become his guardian and parent. And so that's her B story. It's always, where is Kieran? Let me make sure Kieran is safe. Let me make sure Kieran is safe. So yeah, so it doesn't have to necessarily always be a romance for me, but that B story has to exist because that is what continues to ground that character and anchor them to humanity. I said long time, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan too, Mike. Mandalorian, I'm looking at it, episodes 1, 2. Okay, it's cool. Star Wars doesn't have to do a whole lot. If they just don't make a lot of jokes and they keep the setting of Star Wars speaks for itself. It's just a wonderful idea. And if you don't mess it up by doing a bunch of silliness, it's fine. So Mandalorian is fine. I'm going through the first few episodes. It's fine. I don't know what this guy looks like behind the mask. I'm still fine. It is what it is. I just need some stuff.
We are not supposed to know what he looks like behind the mask.
Exactly.
They never should have taken the mask off.
I can't stand it. But they did, because they needed to let us know that there was a real actor there. And so as soon as we introduce Baby Yoda Grogu, the story changes. And we get this connection to the Mandalorian that we didn't have before, because now we see him as a parent or a mentor or a protector. And no matter who you are in life, you understand that. People who just, I have fur babies. I don't have babies. Well, you understand how to take care of your fur baby. You know, maybe you have a little brother or sister. You know how to take care of them. Maybe you are a parent. You know, like you understand that need to take care of something or to protect something. So the minute they did that is when everybody fell in love with The Mandalorian. Up to that point, I think it was only Star Wars fans. But then my wife was like, "Oh, this is nice." I'm like, "Yeah, they got you with that Grogu thing." You know? He's not just cute, but he's taking care of the cute little thing. So when Grogu is not defenseless, he can take care of himself. but you felt that, and that was that connection. You know, so it was a brilliant way of writing that to make sure that everybody came on board and connected with The Mandalorian.
Except when you're Grogu and you're presented by Luke Skywalker a choice between a lightsaber and chainmail. Choose the lightsaber. Come on.
Right. So that was a nice little technique. But those are things that you do. You ground that character to humanity immediately, and now everybody starts to like that character. They don't know why, but it was something primal. Snyder wrote the Save the Cat. He said, keep things primal, people understand hunger, they understand protection, they understand survival, they understand fighting for something that they believe in, they understand self-preservation more than anything. So as long as a character is always trying to self-preserve, then it could be like a job. Like, I'm not losing this job because I'm already used to making this much money. I am not going down for this corporation. What do I need to do? Who do I need to get rid of? And then you understand that.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Grogu was a very good choice for Disney. Grogu and Mandalorian are probably two of the best things that's come out of Disney Star Wars, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I totally get that. Now you brought up Batman, so I'm just curious, and it sounds like you're a Batman fan also, and I'm a huge Batman fan, as you could see behind me.
I saw the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's the Batman Begins. That one's Batman Begins.
I got the Dark Knight poster. Yeah.
Nice. That's my favorite of the three.
Actually, both the posters behind me came from Blockbuster back when my wife worked with Steven.
Yep.
at Blockbuster Video
years ago. Yeah.
Right. But I'm just curious, which Batman actor would you say is your favorite Batman?
Yeah. I know what you guys are gonna say, but I'm gonna go with Christian Bale. I really do. I really did like Christian Bale. Now, everybody most likely will say they love Michael Keaton. And
there you go.
That's my.
I know that's where you guys.
That's me. That's my favorite.
But and I did like Michael Keaton. The problem was the total body of work for Michael Keaton, unfairly, not his fault, was just not as good as all three movies from what Christian Bale had before him. He had a better script to work with. Michael Keaton was great as Batman, but once we got to like the third one, it just wasn't working anymore, you know? But I will say I love
that's why Keaton left too.
Right, he knew.
Yeah, he knew.
he looked at that script and said, "I'm done. I'm out of here, man."
But I did love him in The Flash, though, man. I was so energized to see him come back, and he was still doing the same kind of batarang stuff, and it was so cool. It was so nostalgic seeing him. Obviously, he wasn't doing the stunts, but just having him as being Batman again was just really, really cool.
Well, 89 is my favorite, and then The Dark Knight is my second favorite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was just curious because you brought up Batman, so I had to ask.
Absolutely, Batman. Yeah. But see, I was a Christian Bale fan for a long time. When he did, God, what was the name of that sci-fi movie?
Equilibrium.
Yes, I love it. I couldn't find that thing on DVD anywhere in the States. I had to buy one from Japan.
Oh, wow.
And I was so grateful that it was still like an American regional, so I could see it. Because I mean, I love that movie. And then so when he got the part for Batman, I was like, oh, I'm good. This is gonna be great, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I saw Equilibrium before Batman, and I loved the whole gun kata concept. I was like, oh my goodness, no one's done this.
Yes,
this type of a thing. And and Taye Diggs was great.
Yes. Yeah.
just great villainish kind of a thing. But yeah, that was a good.
And then you talk about a fantastic script though, with 3-act structure, Equilibrium up there. They gave you everything you needed. And then the big fight at the end, with him and the other guy. Then you thought the guy was really good with the collar too. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know he could fight. Like,
right? It was a big surprise. So they're just like, no, wait, I feel too. Now that you
exactly,
know, it's like, yeah, okay,
exactly. Yeah, but yeah, great journey of the hero with that one for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, really good. Gosh, I haven't thought about Equilibrium for a while since you said it, and I'll probably start watching it tonight.
Look, go back through it and watch the 3-act structure. You're like, oh man, they're nailing this.
Yeah, I thought, man, Braxton was right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. So I would say, gosh, I can't believe it's already been an hour and 20. So Braxton, hey, thanks for your time. I don't want to, it's been great having you with us. I got to say that real quick. I just now looked at the clock. I was like, oh, here's the comments. I'm like, well, that was 10 minutes ago. Now I looked at the clock going, oh my goodness. So this has been a great conversation. So, man, so everybody, the best place to, I want to get this in. I meant to do this earlier. I'm so sorry. The website to get to is cosbymediaproductions.com. But there's also another link. Oh, I didn't post that up on there, but we'll put it on our site. Just to get to the indie comics section, and I'm gonna show that real quick. I want us to chit chat about that. I don't want to miss this. All right, here we go. So there's the indie-comic-books-starchild.comics.
Mm-hmm.
/. So if you want to go straight there, but you can get there. If you go to the front. Oh yeah. See there, I was looking at the compendium. There's a plug, everybody. See, there's only 10 left.
Yeah.
But how many pages did you say that was? 170? 175. $50. That's a good deal.
Yeah. And again, what you're getting 16 novels and 5 comics.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, sorry, I meant to go back to the main page.
Yeah. That was it. In the middle, did you hit it? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And so, here's the main page, but you can hit Star Child Comics here, everybody, and that will take you to all the comics that are in here. And so if you want to take a look, I know you've got stuff down here at the bottom. Here we go. So what are we looking at here? So these are heroes from the
BSU. Yeah.
And so the Cosby Media Productions dedicated superhero universe.
Yeah.
And all. So
our main players, you know how DC's got Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. We've got like Bart. We've got Paladin from my series.
Let me do this. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger for everybody. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. So we had an artist who kind of did all these action drawings for us to kind of bring the characters to life. That's Paladin from Hero City, which is the Cape series.
Okay.
Menzuo here from the Menzuo saga.
Gosh, looks good.
Yeah, it does.
And then Metatron. We actually have these posters too. People can buy when we go to the conventions as well.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
And then that's Blessed from Majesties of Canaan.
Okay.
Nice.
And then we just show you some of the comic books here. Mark Power Struggle and the Cape again. I talk about the one with Bruno Abdias did the artwork there. Little quick summary of what you can expect in the comic, and then you can click on Learn More, and it takes you to another page. You can see some of the pages.
Yeah. Joe, Metatron, Broken. I love it. Book 2, but it's issue 1, but book 2 because you have the novel.
Yep.
Right,
You got it.
Love it. Steel Rain, Flight. You talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's ANVK.
Oh yeah.
Click on the Learn More. Just so you guys can see some of these pages. I think you're gonna
absolutely.
Really like
yeah. There we go. All right, here we go. Learn More. Burst in the Blood.
That's a cool cover.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So here are images.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, let's see, Braxton. I'm going to move you for a second. Whee!
Go ahead.
Nice.
So there's that one. Here, let me go back down to. Hang on, I did that wrong. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Here, let me do it this way. There's that
Very
one.
cool.
I love even. It's not just like you were saying, just
That's right.
4 panels.
That's
it's
right.
all. Yeah.
You got to play with those panels, man.
Yeah.
And the blur effects on here. She's really, really good.
Yeah, the coloring is beautiful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Wow. So then also, everybody, I cheated. So I went to Amazon. So you go to Braxton A. Cosby, or you just say Braxton Cosby, it'll pop it up. There's about the author. And so that's where you can get all the, it says you got 25 titles, all the books, everything that you've been working on.
Those digital ones you were asking about. So everything, all the comics are on digital.
See, there you go, Stephen.
Yeah. I love it. And then, so that's a great way if you guys want digital to kind of see what he's got going on. And then, if you just want to check it out, but also make sure you go to the website, everybody. So how it works is, because how I cheated was, you can go up here, you can go to where's that? There it is, storefront, and there's the comic books, and so you can just click there,
mm-hmm.
and then once you go to storefront, you'll see here's all the books, and you can sort different ones, low to high, what was recommended. And then, see, he's already got some that are sold out, everybody.
Yeah.
So now you have to go digital. See, there's the compendium, everybody. So just FYI, what a great concept for that compendium.
Thank you.
I have never known anybody to do something like that to get you caught up, kind of a thing. And all.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, just want to make it easy for everybody, because again, you run into these issues at these conventions, and you have to kind of always be thinking, how do you solve this challenge for people so that they can get what they want when they want it? That's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, oh man, Braxton, thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome. This has been great. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you. Thanks for your insights. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And anytime you really want to invite you, I'm just saying it out loud on air and stuff, but anytime you have a Kickstarter, anytime you have anything you want, hey, come on the show. I mean, normally we go live on Saturday mornings with our regular show where we talk about movies or comic books or other things that, I think you got some great insights that you can share with us on some things. If you want to, we can make those work. Or if we need to do another night just to talk about your latest projects, again, remind people who you are. We'd love to have you back, because this is super informative. I'm sure a lot of people got a lot out of not just being excited about the work that you're doing, but even just your journey and just in writing and stuff has been super helpful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. When I finish this new project, I'll be back to talk about it, because there's a lot to unpack in it. I think you guys will enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That'd be great. That'd be fun. All right. Well, Mike, I guess we need to start doing the outro stuff. Everybody, real quick, if you want to check out our website, ours is 2geeksmic.com, www.2geeksmic.com. And that's our hub for everything. You get to everything else, for our hub. You get to our merch page, to our Ko-fi page, all there. If you want to reach out though, Mike is really good about watching the emails, but it's show@2geeksmic.com. Or if you just want to check out some of our merch, it's just basic stuff, but we're having a good time with it. It's the number 2 GEEKSMICMERCH.com, but you can also get to it to our website. And then we've got our Ko-fi page, and we've just got the $1 tier, $2 tier, and the $3 tier. And all that money just goes to help pay for the podcast hosting, to be able to do EV Mucks and stuff. Just we have a good time. We have been doing some special stuff for everybody. And I'm going to go ahead and announce now. I haven't told Mike this yet. Ooh. But everybody knows I've been working on my novel and trying to get the rewrite done and stuff like that.
Rewrite.
You're right. Rewrite. It's going to be probably my third or fourth rewrite, actually. I'm on the developmental one going, oh, I forgot to put that connection there and that connection there, kind of a thing. But I did have an outline, by the way.
Hey.
I'm going to, for those who are our Patreons or our Ko-fi sponsors and stuff, you guys are going to give access to it as part of that. So just to say thank you guys for being supportive and stuff like that, because I am way overdue getting that last rewrite done. I'm just saying. How long ago did we say I was going to talk? Mike's already on his second book that he's been writing, and I started mine before he did his first one.
Well, our friend Jeffrey just announced that his book's coming soon too. So
that's
Jeffrey
true.
over at Nerdery and Murdery. So
yep. Braxton, another podcast. We're kind of in a podcast trio with some other guys that we've met across the years, and one is Nerdery Murdery. They tell stories. One is like nerdery stuff on behind the scenes on movies or music and all kinds of stuff. And then there's a murdery side. So it's these true stories that they do, and it's pretty good. So the guy who does the murdery side has this whole story that he's telling that it's not a murder story, but
nice.
But it's just pretty cool. And then we've got another guy's Three Geeky Dads. They're up in the the Atlantic Northeast. And they're a hoot. They're so fun. Just guys like us who are just getting together, good friends, just talking all kind of nerdery stuff. And so, but a couple of them, I'm so excited that Jeff has got, from Nerdery Murdery, has got his book coming out. He's got his cover and he's working on that. So that's pretty exciting stuff. So that's been part of this whole journey, and why we just really appreciate having you with us is because there's been other people who've been interested in writing and just, hey, how do I do it? Just get started. Everybody gets that, it needs to be perfect that first time. And it's like, nah, just get going kind of a thing and get started. So I appreciate the insights that you brought, Braxton. Thank you. That was really good we'll be able to talk about that for a while. Mike, that's it for my part. Anything else that you have?
All I've got is please make sure and go like and subscribe to us on all of our socials, such as Facebook. If you go over on Facebook and check out our page, I try to do funny memes from time to time. Sometimes I steal them, sometimes I make them. And also any information for upcoming live episodes, such as the one we're doing right now. Normally we would be live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You do the math on the rest because I don't like math. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Steven, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Braxton, once again, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. You guys have a good rest of your night.
You too. All right. So with that said, please do not Steven skip this episode because we are much more better than the rest. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining us today on the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. Tune in next week when we will have more news and reviews. Until then,
may the force be with you.